Hello everyone. This is the last session of the day. I am the manager of LINE's developer relations team. My name is Isago. As a platform evangelist, I have many opportunities to give speeches. So today, I have noticed many people who are attending the event who are familiar to me. That made me very happy. So as I mentioned, this is the last session for the day. I'd like to start with a question. Who enjoyed the event today? Please give me a round of applause if you enjoyed the event. Thank you. I'm sorry that the attendees at the back don't have a seat. If there is an empty seat around you, please kindly raise your hand so that people can take a seat. Please come forward if you don't have a seat. In this session, the topic will not be too technical. I won't be writing any source codes. So please sit back and relax and enjoy the session. Last year, the venue was at Hikarie Hall. It was very technical. Meanwhile, this year's event is taking place at Happoen. You may have heard of Developer Summit, which is more technical, and some of the operators today were worried that people would confuse the two events. This year, our event is taking place in a traditional Japanese convention hall, so that hopefully you have learned about LINE's technologies as well as some Japanese culture. Today, if you look around, you may notice that we have many guests from overseas as well. Since there are lots of guests from Asian countries, the foreign attendees may not be very noticeable, but you may have heard some people speaking in other languages other than Japanese. Thank you very much for attending the event from many countries. Because this is a venue that is very traditionally Japanese, we have a beautiful garden outside that is already being lit up. Please go around and take some photos. It's very beautiful outside. This year, we tried very different initiatives. For instance, in Evin-san's keynote speech, we mentioned that fintech and AI are very important, and some of our executives gave some more details. In other sessions, we gave more detailed information on more technical topics. This year, we tried something new, which is a poster session. If you attend academic meetings, you may be familiar with this format. Basically, we had engineers stand in front of their panel to explain about their projects. I have been told that academic meetings are very common, where the presenters stand for hours to give their speeches. And being told this, we decided to try it out at our event as well. We were hoping that the poster sessions would be a little more informal so that the attendees can get up close and personal with our engineers to find out more about various topics. Have you had a chance to see some of our exhibitions? For instance, we have Faceplay upstairs, where you can have a first-hand experience of some of our technology, such as face recognition. We hope that these events gave you an opportunity to experience some of our technologies. We presented on a variety of topics today. If anything was interesting for you, technically or for any other reasons, that really made all of our efforts worthwhile. In this final session, you may be anxious to attend the after party after this session, but please bear with me for a little longer for the next 35 minutes. In this session, we wanted to highlight some of our activities. where we get a once-a-year opportunity to explain to you about our activities. For instance, I was looking at your feedbacks on Twitter by following the hashtags. I was very happy to see such positive feedback. I noticed that many people were tweeting that they felt very excited and that the event was very interesting. And that means more to me than people tweeting simply that the event was informative. I hope that after this event, you may feel interested in, for instance, building a bot. We mentioned LIF in many sessions. If you are a web engineer, just in addition to building services on a browser, perhaps now you are interested in building web apps within Line and maybe even build a service. If you are this motivated after this event, that makes me very happy. A common question that I receive is, where can I find more information after Line Developer Day? I will explain that to you today. Last but not least, as you may be able to tell, there was a lot of cost involved in organizing today's event. I don't just mean money, but human resources. We spent hours preparing for today's sessions, practicing. This was all because, not just because we would really like to encourage you to use our technologies, but if we were able to spark or trigger an emotion in you and make you feel motivated to use our technologies, that makes us very happy. Because if you feel as though this event was more to recruit engineers at Line, then that would be very unfortunate. We want today's event to be more than just sharing of technical information or recruitment, but a pure event to share knowledge and experience. This is the last slide that I presented at last year's Line Developer Day. You can tell that I'm wearing the same outfit as last year, which is why I'm often called Mr. Zebra, because I wear this jacket all the time at public events. So if you notice me wearing the same jacket in other events, please come up and don't hesitate to come up and speak to me. Looking back on last year's presentation, I think about many things. This is Tachibana-san, who is standing beside me, who presented with me. We had released a new rich menu API. If various problems occurred, releases tend to be postponed. That was the case last year. So unfortunately, we weren't able to give a live demo of this rich menu API. But since the last year, we were to release it. Do some of you use Flex messaging or LIF? Different technologies that make different programs more expressive or interactive UXs. Line is launching a variety of services and technologies, such as the ones I just mentioned. We also have Clova Extensions Kit, which is available publicly. It's not just for bots, but it can be used to build a voice UI. In last year's session that I asked a question and asked everyone to applaud if you agree. I asked, first of all, I said, anybody want us to have another LineBot Awards with a cash reward of 10 million yen? And everyone applauded aggressively. So we decided to have Line Boot Awards. The second O is to say this is the second time we have this event. In addition to Line Bots, Line Boot Awards invited engineers to submit Clova skills so that we can encourage more and more developers to build such bots and skills. The submissions were received from many countries, especially our key countries. 1,125 new bots and skills were built for this event. That's quite impressive. Compared to LINE Bot Awards, we received even more submissions. There were 26 teams that had passed the first round of eliminations. On November 10th, about 2 weeks ago, there was the final stage in our office, and the winner was determined. From our standpoint, launching a convenient service we hope that the event encouraged people to launch a variety of useful services. Simply developing every day doesn't result in 1,125 bots and skills. For instance, there's a variety of hackathons and work groups. It is called mokumoku-kai in Japanese. And there are over 50 of them being held across Japan. We have organized more than 50 of these across Japan. In Thailand, Taiwan, Indonesia, we also held an event called Line Hack. And the LINE Boot Award winner was there to present as well. Tachibana-san, who is a technical evangelist, and other developers who gave a speech in Hall C, for instance. We have Jirawat from Thailand, Evan from Taiwan, Paul-san from Indonesia, Nakajima-san from the Developer Advocate team, are all working hard to support technology in a variety of communities. We don't think that a simple event will change the world, but please, I just wanted to highlight the various efforts of our individual engineers. You may already know this, but there were 2 winners at this year's LINE Boot Awards. There was an audience award and the judge awards. And the 2 teams received equal scores. So we were faced with a dilemma, but we decided that both are equal winners. So the 2 teams had to split the cash reward of 5 million yen each. One team was represented by a high school junior student, Nishino-san. The other team was a startup in Indonesia. Each received 5 million yen, Japanese yen. And we felt that this cash reward was very meaningful for the 2 teams because they were not lucrative companies to begin with. And we hope that we can continue to hold such events to motivate engineers, both financially and for their activities. And we wanted to invite the 2 winners to today's event, but the team from Indonesia would have had to take a long-haul flight, and the high school student is in school, so unfortunately they're not here today. But they were the winners. You may know of the casual game platform Ikaika that uses Lyft. You may know that it is not just a gaming app, but it's also a dating app. Without any promotional activities, it is already popular among around 1.2 million users. I was one of the judges in Indonesia for the final round. Many were impressed by the quality and the skills of this team. And this team came to Japan for the final round, and they won. Icha-icha is a common term, a simple term in Indonesia, but in Japanese you may know that icha-icha means flirting. So a dating app called Flirting is very unique. That was the submission from the Indonesian team. Here is the winner, who was a high school student. He felt that splitting the work, you may know that in Japan, students clean the school building themselves. And the bot or the service that he built enabled his class and the students in his school to split the work equally and fairly. He is a super creator who was skilled in programming to begin with. He and his classmates built services using Line that helps people. So as a company, we hope to continue to support him.
So when you hear about Line bootable, maybe you think about, oh, I can do this. I can do a much better job. And I'm sure many of you think of that way. Line Bot Away was the same way. So that's why I came up with the Line Boot Award the second time of this competition. So doing the same kind of competition under the same theme is not fun. So I'm waiting for the next theme to come up. So Clover, Live is coming up. So this is why we held the Line Boot Award when Line Clover was available. So in the previous session, Nasu-san talked about blockchain. Maybe there's a Line Developer Kit, a Link Developer Kit is available. It's easier for you to develop apps, dApps, and the passion is there for you to create a dApps. I don't know if you're going to make it Line Boot Award with 3 O's or not. So if taking the previous rule, it'll become Line Boot Award with 3 O's. But when we come up with a new technology, I want you to jump up to the bandwagon. You want to, and when we hear your request of having this next competition because you're so eager to build this new app, then when we receive that feedback, we will do our job and perhaps come up with the next competition. So we provide open platforms so that you create new services, which is part of our job. But for some of you here, I'm not creating my own services. I'm just part of a company. Maybe you're one of our competitor, and you're just coming to take some reference and take something home for you. We welcome everyone to actively exchange information. So at the after party, when we ask, how was the Leopard Days? So a lot of people ask, don't you have any other events like this? And yes, we do. We have a Line Developer Meetup. So Wada-san is the person who started up this develop meetup in Fukuoka. This helped to cultivate the developer community in Fukuoka, and then it spread it out to Fukuoka, Tokyo, Taipei, and Bangkok. And last week, we just had our 46th developer meetup in Kyoto with a theme of mobile app and UI. On Compass, this is where we make the announcements for these meetups. We have a community on Compass, and we have close to 5,000 members. So if you have never been to one of our live developer meetup, choose a session that interests you, and please, you're welcome to join. If you have any requests for themes and that you want us to talk about, you can talk to us in the after hour or answer it in our survey. And we will plan one for you, bringing together some of our Line engineers. So maybe it's difficult for you to come to offline events. Like some of you may be busy with work and you couldn't come to Line Developer Day. So you are trying to do some work while you're also watching streaming for Line Developer Days. So when these people find it interesting, we also have an engineer blog where they disseminate information in a proactive way. So some of you may be using blog to disseminate information on blog in your company. But we check our contents and check the contents of the or translate them into multiple languages, and it makes it very cumbersome for most engineers to keep posting information on blog. So this is why we have developers relationship to support engineers that to check contents information to make sure that they're technically feasible. All the translation are sent to the translation team, and this is the kind of support we're doing. And towards the year end, our engineers will be posting blog in an advent calendar format. So you can view and browse various contents to see what we have done in the past as well. So speaking in conferences like this or posting on blogs is not the only way to disseminate information. There are many people in line who don't like to talk. Well, actually, I'm here to make speaking a living, but there are people who like to, just to write source codes. And for them, perhaps OSS is the optimal way to write their OSS and make it public. So you're using the company's resource and also your colleagues' resource. There's a problem of licensing and also IP. We run into IP issues. But our developer relation team also supports the engineers through this way as well. An engineer is creating OSS on the job. They want to publicize, make it public. Or for instance, there are some publicly available in GitHub. For instance, so there are 3 that are available as open sources. I'm not really sure if this is the correct information, but towards Developer Day on GitHub, there were 3 project repositories that were open sourced. The first one is called Line SDK for iOS. Perhaps some of you have used it already. It's an SDK for iOS and Android that makes it easier to incorporate Line login. So this is now available in open source. The second is we mentioned in Takaku-san's Line Things session, Line Things Starter Kit. Line Things is an IoT device, and through Line you can communicate through Bluetooth to control these IoT devices, and this is called Line Things. So I'm sorry, I think this hasn't been really announced until Line Developer Day, and today we were going to make this grand announcement. But we have this Line Things Starter Kit available as open source starting today. The third one is called APing the Durable. So this is a Line message, and this is a feature that was already included in the Android version of Line app. We just taken that feature out and provided as an open source. So we don't want to keep everything a secret. Everything that we make, we want to keep it open, share it with everyone. If we can improve it using everyone's resources and ideas, I think that would be the optimal way. And we want to support our engineers in this endeavor. So if you are interested in this project, if you can search online repository on GitHub, you can look for more information and ask for pull requests. So finally, so from a different perspective, so I don't want everyone to think that this is a recruiting event, but I want to share with you what our core values as a Line engineer is in working at Line. We want you to understand the cultural aspect of Line. So perhaps maybe some of you joined the lunch session, which was a panel discussion. And we also talked about some of the core values that we hold important. Some of you may have listened to that panel discussion as well. But here's a brief introductory video, which I would like to show you first.
職業はエンジニアです。
エンジニアです。
Engineer.
Software developer here at Line.
海外の方とはよくやり取りをしております。
在中国。
한국에 살고 있고.
LINE 在全球有几个开发据点？
大概4、5个左右。
これデブデイで働く
So
デブデイでLINEで働くエンジニア
these are all the engineers that
を伝えるために新たに撮り直す
this is a new video that we shot to feature the engineers working at Line.
これを撮影するにあたっては
So when we actually shot these engineers, we not only went to Japan, but we flew to Taipei, Bangkok, and actually interviewed our engineers.
映像には入ってないんです
So
が
it's not included in the video, but we also have dev centers in Indonesia and Vietnam.
今後もっと増えるかもしれません
And we may be increasing our dev center as well. So we didn't have a script for this shooting,
価値観って何ですか
but we talked about some of the core values that they hold important.
詰まる方々もいらっしゃるんです
So some people, it was difficult for them to verbalize it, but
まあみんな教えていただけるんですね
I asked everyone to share with us 3 core values,
あとは先ほどから言ってる
which is trust and respect, to responsibility, and be open and respect.
人たちがチームを組んで働いているので
And because we are working with diverse team in dev centers all over the world,
お互いに尊敬をし合うと
so we want everyone to have trust and respect to each other.
でこういった価値観を
So these core values is what we share in our day-to-day development efforts.
私が言うのもなんなんですがこの最後のパートとか特にみん
So
な
in this last part
す
especially,
ごいいい笑顔ですよね
so everybody is showing a really wonderful smile which cannot be faked. So this is not something that we ask them to say. This is what they feel from the heart, and they love Line, and they love working with Line and growing together with Line.
我々がですね今日午前中のキーノートの
So as we mentioned in the keynote speak this morning, we introduced a lot of fintech service. And many people said, oh, Line is spreading his hands into everything, every genre. Not only are we actively features for fintech, we are also creating various kind of services. So you may be wondering, why are we launching so many services? And we mentioned some of the reasons in some of the session today. We have the framework, the infrastructure and platform, how the environment is there now, where we can now enhance our services without stretching ourselves. So today we have 2,100 engineers, which does not include planning and sales and other back office. Purely engineers, we have 2,100 engineers globally. But 2,100 engineers is not enough to realize the world that we are trying to achieve. We need to grow to 3,000 level. So this is the plan that we have for our organization. And we have many corporate visions that we want to attain with our developers. So one way to realize so last year we announced the open of Kyoto Dev Center. So opening a new dev center may be one solution, but we also decided to establish a new company. So this is Kantono-san, who is in charge of infrastructure, and Fukushima-san, who is the head of UI development. And so these two are the directors for this new company called Line Growth Technology. We established a new company. So not only do we develop services, but after we launch the service, we need to create a service-oriented service where the developers and engineers are there to constantly make updates to make sure that the service continuously grows. And this is the main vision for this company. So coming up with launching new projects is something every country do. At LINE, we establish new companies. And our aim is to increase our engineers to 3,000 people. So if you have interest in web apps, entertainment, contents, but when we do fintech, we need someone who have expertise in finance infrastructure, or someone like an SIer who has integrated many different types of infrastructure. And we are welcoming people with different skill set in various companies, including our subsidiaries such as LINE Growth Technology and LINE Finance. So in the video, take ownership, be open, trust and respect. I'm sure you will be talking to some of our engineers and ask them in the after party, ask them what our core values, and they should be able to answer this right away. But we are trying to promote these core values within and outside of our company. So our CTO, Park Evin, our engineer, when they join LINE, they go through various series of training sessions. But our CTO actually takes upon herself to have this session to talk about these core values so that we make sure that all of our new engineers understand our core values. So these seem to be basic and standard concepts that are done in other companies as well. But our organization have grown extremely rapidly. Our product grows, our organization grows. We need to grow as an individual. In order to realize that we need to join together as a team and have a common vision. So this concept is extremely important concept. We are putting time and effort into it to make sure that everybody understands these core values. So for us, the theme for LINE Developers Day 2018 was Next Line, and your Wi-Fi password was also Next Line, so I'm sure you've punched that into your smartphone as well. So LINE, people think that it's a messenger app and we create stickers. But I think after today, we all realize that we are spreading ourselves into other services and products. So this is why we created Next Line as a topic, so that we understand where we are headed. I'm not sure if this came across to you, but this is the reason why we came up with this topic. So for LINE Developer Day is held annually in Tokyo, or actually in Japan, and we would like to continue this as an annual event. And we're planning one for Developer Day 2019, and the details are still to be hammered out, but we are hoping to provide you with more exciting and fulfilling content, including many guests, and hopefully we can create an opportunity for interaction between the engineers as well. So I've mentioned in my last part, so you are now the listeners, but maybe you'll become the speaker in next year's LINE Developer Day 2019. We see some of you in lightning talks, maybe next year. And if you think that is a good idea, then that'll make me very happy as well. So after this session is the after party. I'm sure you've been waiting for it. So the lunch today was we had a very nice lunch. So this venue is also used as a wedding space, so the hospitality was wonderful. So our after party, we are trying to meet your expectations. So we need time to prepare for this wonderful after party. And while you're waiting, I don't want you to think that you want to go home. We want you to welcome you to the after party. The reason why I'm saying this many times is because so many the video that we showed, what I mentioned on on stage. Is that a marketing message? Is that fine talk? Or is that the true form, the true figure of line? And the after party is a great opportunity for you to mingle with our engineers and talk among your group. But if you see one of our line engineers, you can ask them candid questions to deep dive into some of the presentations that they made.
So
you understand the intent of the session. We don't want you to just go home saying, "Oh, I learned something." I want you to go home, post something on your blog, create a bot, or look up the next developer meetup. We want you to take proactive action and take the next step. Well, the after party is a place where we can be excited with alcohol and food. But after that, I want you to take home what you learned at the developer day and have an enriching developer's life. So this is it from me. Thank you very much for joining.